Welcome everybody to Controversial One-on-One with Infamous D, episode 13, I believe. I want to introduce y'all to Justin Tucker, from the Libertarian Party of Chicago. Justin, you want to introduce yourself and tell them like what's your role in the chapter?
Sure. So, my name is Justin Tucker. I am the chair of the Cook County Libertarian Central Committee. I'm also an officer in the Libertarian Party of Chicago chapter. I've been in the movement since 2015 and still chugging along, mainly active in Chicago and organizing Chicago. And this past election, we were able to achieve major party status. So congratulations, thanks to all our donors and our volunteers and our candidates and our voters. So, yeah, I've been a libertarian ever since I was 16 when I saw Harry Brown on Meet the Press. And then I got active in 2015 after an unfortunate experience with Chicago PD, and now I'm here.
All right, and can you talk to them more about the protest going down this Sunday and why you organized it?
So, there's, as you may know, Chicago restaurants are going under, and there's, Chicago's very restrictive in what it allows to be open, and so the economy is suffering. So, with it being the holidays and with maybe some people being off, and thought and from some feedback from other people in the chapter, me and Adam were talking and thought a protest might be a good idea. We want to do it responsibly, so we encourage, if you want to, we encourage the participants to social distance and wear masks. And it'll be this Sunday. It's going to be will be along the intersection of Kimball and Wrightwood, which is about 3,800 north north Kimball. Excuse me. It is 2,600 North Kimball. Excuse me. Roughly around there. So we plan to just kind of sign wave and have a responsible, socially distanced demonstration. And this intersection is significant because it's close to Lori Lightfoot's residence. So
Is that the reason you chose that location?
I'm sorry?
Is that the one of the reasons you chose that location for the protest?
Not only that, Kimball's kind of a busy street, and we'll be there on a Sunday afternoon. So we get we can get a few hundred or a few thousand people to see us drive by on Kimball Avenue on Sunday afternoon and see our message of opening Illinois responsibly. We definitely want companies and businesses and restaurants to take as much precaution as we can, and we definitely want to encourage the citizens to do the same. But we don't have to ban indoor dining. We can let movie theaters open responsibly and at limited capacity. And cases are, I looked at cases and they seem to be trending down. That doesn't mean they won't change, but especially now that it's Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. And so so that's, and we, it's hopefully a few of us will make it out, and it'll be a fun event. I plan to swing by Walgreens this weekend, pick up some signs and some markers, and I encourage, if you want to join, to do the same. And Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping like I try to get the Sunday off, but I'm for sure gonna try to be there at least 1 hour, 2 hours, just stop by, say hi, a little photo op, you could say. And but yeah, so besides the protests, like what are your thoughts on the lockdowns? Like what do you think should be the alternative besides like kind of like because like sort of what you said is like kind of like having some type of restrictions, but they should be
Well,
optional more than required, you could say.
yeah, I don't think that there should be mandated masks or mandated lockdowns or state, I think that if I think people should act responsibly, and I think that businesses and private property owners have a right to, if people don't want to wear masks in their establishment, they have a right to exclude them from their property. Um, and people should take precautions, wash your hands, wear a mask when you can. That you could do all that sort of stuff without some sort of without the government telling basically the government basically shutting down the economy. People are out of work, businesses are going under, so there's a lot of other sort of unintended consequences um, that that I think that the um, government imposed restrictions have caused. So yeah, I mean, the virus is, we can recognize that this pandemic is real, and it's deadly, um, and we can be responsible about it. Um, you know, we I go to the doctor's office and they take my temperature. Um, Places require masks to come in. So if we can just be responsible, we can uh, try to minimize the impact of this and get through the pandemic.
Like like how has this like these lockdowns or restrictions affected your life or the life of other people personally?
Personally, I've been really depressed um, and just yeah. I mean, I've been really depressed, and it's been difficult to try to have avenues to alleviate that sort of stuff. For example, my favorite karaoke bar and a place that the LP Chicago has met and had Christmas celebrations was at or not the Eleanor Tavern, the Shoes Pub on Armitage. That karaoke bar went under
Isn't that one
because
of the places where you used to do meetings before, like probably like in
we had our Christmas events there. Yeah,
yeah, I
uh,
remember.
and like you can't go out and do that sort of stuff. The LP meets on Zoom. The LP Chicago meets on Zoom, so going out, and that's the social aspect. It's and then just to see the loss of the loss of freedom that's happened in these months has been really depressing.
Yeah,
So I've been doing other things to keep to try to not be so upset about all this stuff.
like keep yourself busy doing other hobbies, you could say.
Right, exactly. And I'm you can't be angry all the time. Another thing I was angry a lot, not only because of the lockdowns, but of course, like the George Floyd stuff and the reaction to that. Of course, I was really angry at how our policing has been, and then angry that some of the reaction to that turned violent, and looting and arson and just mass chaos. And so it's just been a real turbulent year. And I'm sure that I'm sure I got friends that feel the same. there's definitely emotional cost to these lockdowns. I that first week I was kind of hitting the bottle very hard. A lot of people have relapsed. Um, people who are in domestic situations probably
Got into worse situations.
right. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that the toll of this is gone, and I think that there's still a lot of stuff that we're not unsure of yet that may come on it. But there's a vaccine now. I'm excited for that, and I hope I hope that I can go see Weezer and Green Day and Wrigley at Wrigley
Yeah,
Field.
man. I was supposed to see Maroon 5, Lady Gaga. That shit, man. I'm pissed off. You know me. I love concerts, so I'm mad as hell that throughout the year, like I only got a couple of memories of concerts. I think the last concert I went to was in November. No, you know what? I actually did go to some, even though there was lockdowns in Chicago. But I was able to go to Joliet, for example, at the Forge. And then in Lombard, they're still hosting concerts everywhere, like in parts of in Illinois, especially in the Northwest Indiana. But it sucks that Chicago is more tyrannical than the rest of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's kind of sad, like in my opinion. But I know for a fact that suicide rates have gone up because people, like you said, are depressed as fuck. Like there's people like us that could handle it a little bit better, but then there's people that really can't handle it at all. Like those people, I pity them. Because
Yeah,
it
I
sucks
mean,
that.
I've been fortunate enough to not lose my job, but other people have not. So that if you're depressed, I mean, I've been depressed, so I can't imagine if I lost my job, how much more intense that would that be for me. And I I hope that we can just bounce back from this and maybe
Yeah,
learn some things, maybe change some things on how we do things. Um, yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Chicago is what you call, like, went from an industrial economy to a or manufacturing economy to a service economy, and it's been transitioning ever since. So most of the jobs that people work in Chicago are service type jobs, uh, like for example, especially in the food or hospitality industry. So there's a lot of that, and
Mm-hmm.
most of those people are the ones unemployed. And not only that, but you got the seasonal jobs. Like now they got less work in a way. So now you got more people unemployed, but that's the regular people that are always unemployed, like during the winter, you could say.
Right.
Um, so those people, like, they go on unemployment. So like you got like there's obviously evidence that the state is manipulating data to fit their narrative. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, as far as how they're classifying COVIDs for COVID
Well,
19
I
deaths.
haven't really investigated it. I mean, I I'm if somebody dies while they have, I mean, depending on, like, let's say they had like,
Yeah.
I I I don't know. I've not. I don't know. Maybe you'll have to point me to something. I'm unaware. I mean, I'm sure that they're labeled. I'm sure that they're classified. Like if somebody has, I don't know, heart disease, or somebody has a heart attack and then they also had COVID. If that counts as a COVID death, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the
Or if
crazy
they
part.
had
Like,
if they
like
had
it literally doesn't matter
S1E.
what you died of, as long as you were COVID-19 positive at the time of death. That's how they're classifying people as a COVID-19 death. That's crazy, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure they're obvious. Like if people are on ventilators and whatnot who otherwise didn't have any sort of, people are dying. I don't know how. I mean, younger people tend to not be as affected as, like,
Yeah. Look, I wanna share this video for people that might be like, oh, this guy is just talking out of his ass, like referring to me. Like they might not believe this. And I swear to God, every time I show them the video, they think it's a what you call it, like an altered, fabricated video or something. I'm like, that's literally the Illinois Department of Public Health Services, explaining. So check this video, all right, just in case you haven't seen it. Hold on. I want people to see it too. Look. So look, this is the IDPH director explaining how COVID deaths are classified. That was back in April.
What's the source? Who's this?
In times like these, communication is more important than ever.
Like one of
Right
the
now, that's
like they were having like with Pritzker or whatever. Like
Sure. What WB? What is it?
this is week.com, but they also got it in NBC, like in different websites. But this is week.com.
Okay.
All right, so look at.
To climb, the director of public health took time today to explain how the department rules someone an actual COVID death. It can be a little confusing. She says anyone who has COVID when they pass away will be included in that category. Dr. Ngazi Ezike explained this does not mean the virus caused that death, but if someone does test positive for COVID before dying, that is classified a coronavirus fatality.
You were
yeah.
in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death. It means that even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death. So everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that that was the cause of the death, but they had COVID at the time of death.
And Dr. Ezike also said one of the health department's top priorities, of course, is continuing to best protect the most vulnerable and immunocompromised groups.
And that's crazy, right? Because like right there, they only showed a part of it, right? But like this is the actual whole thing. Look at it says. So they said what she said, right? So blah blah blah. But you had COVID at the same time.
Right.
Also, they skipped the part where it says, so everyone who's listed as a COVID death doesn't mean that was the, that is everything they showed, right? So yeah, that's crazy right there. But if you notice, like they say before you die. So I'm wondering now, like, if they're literally just including the ones that tested positive before dying, or also apply it to like classify the ones that got tested after the fact. Like, let's say I got shot in the street and died, and then turned out to be COVID-19 positive. They'll classify me as a COVID death. Now, it makes me wonder, it makes me wonder.
Right. I mean, obviously something like that would be.
Yeah. Because
like, if you're asymptomatic and you die,
But if you notice, they only said only the news reporter chick said before you die, and then when you read like what she actually said, the director didn't really say before. She just said in general, like if you were positive at the time of death, you will be labeled one. I wish I could ask her, like, hey, can you elaborate further what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely how she defined it. I'm sure is going to lead to an inflated.
Yeah, because I think she released the statement because people were saying that they were overcounting the COVID-19 deaths back in actually, you know what, that was a month after. Hold on, let me see. I think I still got that right here. That's so look at. Let's see what they said about the overcounting. Hold on, pull it up to the screen so you can read it with me. This one's actually from NBC. Let's see.
Pull it up, Jamie.
Check it out. So she refutes notion that Illinois is overcounting. Wonder if they got the video for it or something.
Was that last news article before or after this one?
This was after, because the other one was in April and this one was in May.
Okay.
So I guess they criticize her like the way, based on what she said or whatever.
Right.
I'm trying to make sure no random ass video plays right now while I'm trying to read the damn article. So yeah, she dismissed claims that the state is overstating the number of coronavirus related deaths and amid the ongoing pandemic. saying that only deaths of patients with laboratory confirmed cases of the virus are being counted in the official tally. So in other words, she just pretty much rephrased what she said, but it's still the same shit. During her daily press statement Tuesday, she said that she has heard concerns about the methods the state is using to report coronavirus deaths and assured residents that the state is working to make sure that their counts are as accurate as possible. So she said, this is literally her quote, "We are reporting those deaths that have laboratory confirmation, meaning that they have been tested and a laboratory test indicates that they were COVID positive. As we learn more about the disease, there may have been less typical presentations." So it doesn't really change the classification. It's still confirming literally what the fuck she said in the other one. Like, the only thing she's saying is that, oh, as long as it's like no shit, isn't that how you fucking testing if people got a fucking COVID? They're like, what the fuck? You know, like is that supposed to mean something different? Oh, it's laboratory confirmed. Like, no shit. Like, we never fucking said it was not laboratory confirmed. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got a problem with literally you know, I'm saying, just saying people that just because they were positive, that, you know, you're counting as a COVID death. That's misleading as fuck, right?
Positive. You wouldn't even know if they were positive unless you tested them. So
yeah, but not only that, just the simple fact that they're, you know, they're like literally exaggerating the numbers. Like they can't deny that. Like the whole fucking definition of the way they classify things clearly says that they're like, you know what I'm saying, like inflating the numbers.
Well, Illinois is beyond repair.
Nah, in my opinion, it's repairable. The problem is that people have lost interest in politics so much that they feel like they're hopeless or powerless. Like, I feel like they need a reminder that they got the power to change things, because at the end of the day, they are the government, not the government itself, you know?
Well, Illinois government certainly makes it difficult for businesses to thrive and for, you know, makes it an attractive place to live. And it's got a notoriously corrupt government on all levels.
You know, there's rumors that the indigenous people that used to be in this area cursed the land after they got conquered.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Yeah, like, to be honest, I'm gonna try to look into what we're talking about. I just want to like.
I mean, if
would
I
you
was
believe
getting
it?
conquered, I would probably, you know, do vexing at the people who were conquering me as well.
Yeah, like they do say that there's, like, I don't know how they described it. Like, I gotta look into it more. I'm gonna try to see if I find it while we're doing this episode. But yeah, like something about, I forgot which tribe it was, but they literally cursed the land. But I forgot what was the reason they cursed the land. I need to look into it, so people don't think I'm just inventing a fucking crazy ass story. But that's what they're saying, that Chicago's so fucked up, and I don't know how long the curse is supposed to last or what's supposed to happen to break the curse. But I'm gonna look into it right now to see if I find it. But yeah, like, a lot of people don't know the history of Chicago. Like, based on your knowledge, do you know any of the history of Chicago?
Oh, I know that it was DuSable was the founder, and you know, it was basically a post on where the Illinois River met Lake Michigan, and became a prime spot. It was like a port, and people moved there, railroads. Then it got burnt down, and then we built it.
But like, how about way before DuSable came over here?
I'm sure. I don't know anything about. I know that Native Americans were here, and as you can see, like in the art, like on the Lake Michigan, or excuse me, the Michigan Avenue Bridge there over the Chicago River has, you know, like white people coming to the first white people to arrive. And even here in Logan Square, at the Logan Square Memorial, or at the Centennial Memorial, it's got depictions of you know, Native Americans meeting you know, Christian settlers. So
Yeah, like I believe it was the French that were here before. Well, I think even Dosada was French himself, no?
Well, I think he was. I think he
'Cause
was
I know he was
black,
black.
though, right? Yeah,
Yeah, he
but I
was
mean, yeah,
black.
he's got a French name, so I'm not sure his story. And maybe I should go to the Zusable Museum on the South Side sometime and check it out, learn
Yeah.
more about him.
No, yeah, definitely. But as far as like after the whole like city got incorporated, you could say, I believe it was like in 1830 or 1860 something.
Oh,
Yeah, I think 1860, 1870 around there. And yeah, like the history of Chicago is kind of interesting, and it's kind of funny how we always had like criminal organizations. And as a matter of fact, have you ever heard about the newspaper wars?
yeah, I mean, like there, I went to a lecture at the it was at the that library there on like by Washington Square Park, the Newberry Library, and they talked about all the different like at one like the peak of Chicago newspapers. There were there were a whole bunch, and then you had the ones in different languages, and
Yeah, and then the two main ones took over. It was like I think the Sun Times versus the Tribune or some shit like that.
yeah, and then but like the Tribune, like those the readership was like well beyond Chicago and stuff too. So
Yeah, yeah, it was like world news. You could say like your typical world newspaper. You could say like you know how
yeah,
sort of like I believe it's the Daily Mail, the one that publishes worldwide news, and then other people pick it apart, or like the Associated Press, they release their work, and then everybody starts reporting based on other
yeah, I
reports.
think the Tribune. I think the Tribune does like syndicating, maybe, right? I see. I know they're a conglomerate. They own
Yeah,
TV
that's what
stations.
you call it, right? Syndication.
Yeah,
Like when
there's
you grab a
like
news.
the like an Associated Press type organization or like a
Yeah,
Wire organization. I think. I mean, I'm sure the Tribune Company is big, so I'm sure it's one of the. I'm sure it knows its newspaper stuff.
yeah. I'm trying to see like which I knew there was a newspaper. Hold on. As a matter of fact, I think it says right here Horace Greeley. So he was newspaper editor and publisher of the New York Tribune. But I know there was somebody who, like a newspaper, one of those newspapers that I just mentioned was one of the ones responsible for electing Lincoln. But I can't recall which one from the top of my head. I'm trying to look it up while we're talking.
Yeah, I know the McCormick family was the family of the Tribune, and a lot of stuff in Chicago named after McCormick.
Yeah, it had to be the Tribune. I think the Tribune is owned by the McCormick family too, or something like that. And so yeah, like the newspaper wars. For those that don't know, like it was like literally news like a competition among a bunch of newspapers, right? So then they started absorbing the other smaller ones, and making them bigger and better, bigger and better. And it came down to the Sun Times versus the Tribune. And literally, for those that don't know, um, they used to hire like teenagers, to go beat up the other ones, like the other ones selling newspapers. Like they used to be like, extra, extra, and they used to like that's how the origin of gangs, you could say, you know, like it was the newspaper gangs. And some of those kids grew up to become mobsters, like in the Al Capone era. They're the ones that kind of formed the mafias, you could say, once more people from Italy started coming in, like Al Capone and them. I forgot. Well, damn, I forgot the name of this other. He was a popular one, but like that's usually what happened, right? And there was another mob boss back in the day, because a lot of people don't know that Chicago has a underground city in a way, like what we call the sewers used to be the streets or some shit like that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Pedway.
Yeah, like those used to be the old you could say sidewalks in a way. And like even under the Pedway, there's more like underground caverns where a lot of illegal shit used to go down, like in the early 1900s, around there. And then there was some twin sisters or whatever. They used to own nightclubs and stuff, and get all the politicians fucked up, and that used to be like the main hangout. And then that's why they kind of like lost their influence during the Prohibition era. And then Al Capone obviously rose to power when he killed like he used to be a hitman for this one mob boss that he eventually betrayed or some shit like that, and then became like his own. So it like the Chicago history is very interesting. To be honest, they should make a fucking like a whole TV series about it. You know, like starting with fucking the indigenous, and then with Dusabe, how he came in, and then what happened afterwards. You know, like it would be an interesting ass show. Like you got all these shows like Chicago PD, and you know what I'm saying, like modern shit. Like, man, I want people should know the history, but there's a reason they don't want you to know the history, Justin. And that's because
I'm sure WTVW's got some documentaries on early Chicago.
Oh yeah, they do. They do got that. I like watching those, like the ones about Pilsen too, you know, or even like a lot of people don't know that like, you know how sometimes when people try to rename streets, people get pissed off, like, oh, what the fuck, don't rename the street. Like, it's not the first time or the last time those fucking streets are gonna get renamed. Like even the streets that are numbers used to have names, you know.
Yeah, like I think one of those streets is Pershing.
Yeah, like now it's 39th or 40th or whatever. Yeah, I think it's 39th Street. You know? Like,
and they want to rename Lakeshore Drive Dusable Drive. So that ought to I could be down with that.
I mean, like they could rename it like depending the whole thing or like anything south of Madison, because like Madison is 0.0, you know, like when like Madison Estate, that's technically the center of Chicago.
The grid.
I always tell people, like, you don't need a fucking GPS or a fucking a map, as long as you know how the streets, you know what I'm saying, like, you know how the addresses start.
Mm-hmm.
Like Madison Estate is literally 000, like that's 0.0, you know.
Well, then you have to know what your north-south streets are, and then when you're on the north side, you have to know what your east-west streets are.
No, that's literally what I'm talking about. Like, you don't even need to know the name of the streets or anything like that. You just need to know the address and and the direction you're going.
Well, it's easier on the south side, because like if I'm at like 3200 South Halsted, I know I'm at 32nd Street. But if I'm at 3200 North Hall, if I'm at 3200 North Halsted, and I don't know that that's Belmont Avenue, then but no, it's the grid system is a very interesting concept, and yeah, it is. If you know, I mean, I use it. It's easy, and I can figure out where something's located just by kind of looking at the address.
No, and that's what, and that's literally what I'm talking about. That like, it doesn't matter if like, even if you were like, as long as you got the address, it doesn't, like the street name or the street number doesn't matter anymore, because if you know that state in Madison is 0.0, you know that if you go north, all the numbers start with 0 and go up, you know, from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going north, right? If you go west, you know that the numbers start with 0 and going west, like 2, 4, 4, like they keep going. You know that the evens are on one side, the odds are on one side, and you know they keep going. The higher, the more west you go, the higher the numbers go. The more north you go, the more higher the numbers go. And you know that every intersection, the numbers restart based on the street. Like for example, Damon is 2200, right? And you know that every big street is 200 numbers apart. So you know that Western is 2400.
2000 West. Damon is 2000 West.
Oh, 2000. So like so like 400 apart, right? And then so you know that you could go like that. Like if you tell me, oh, I live by like 22 something, you know, 22 something, I will know that you live somewhere between Western and Damon, you know. And it's like you said, like depending on the street, like that's the only reason you will need to know the street name, because it, like you know how I'm telling you that the numbers, like it doesn't matter if you're on 21st, 18th Street, 19 or anything in between, all the addresses go the same, you know. It starts with the 2000 to 2400, but depending on what street you got to go to, you know, boom boom boom. So yeah, so in that case, yeah, you would need to know the street name, right? because otherwise you'd be like, well, which 2200? There's like fucking thousands of streets, like they got the same fucking address, you know.
Yeah, cheers to the people who invented the Chicago grid system. They definitely deserve a pat on the back.
And I feel like that's kind of why they made the number system, to make it more easier to separate the north and the south. Like, all right, well, the south, let's just call them by numbers, and the other one, let's just call them by street names to kind of distinguish. Because I'm pretty sure it was gonna be too hard to remember all these fucking names and shit.
Yeah.
Like even me to this day, I have like, if I try to like navigate in the fucking north side, I'm like, where the fuck is Narragansett? You know, like, wait, that's by Cicero. Or I'll be like,
it's like
where's Irving
5,
Park?
50, I don't know. It's like way west.
Or I'll be like, where's Irving Park? Is
Where
that
the Fullers
before
and
or
Bus-
after Belmont? How about Addison? You know, like, I don't know which one comes first, to be honest. Is it Belmont, Addison, and then Irving Park?
I'm pretty familiar with like, well, I work on the west side and I live in Logan Square. So, and then I lived forever on like, I lived for a long time also in Lakeview. And I went to college at Columbia College. So I feel like I know the north side and downtown pretty well, as far as like the major streets and stuff goes.
Like, were you born in Chicago, Justin? I don't remember if you said that.
No, I'm from South St. Louis suburbs. I went to Columbia College for 2 years, and I moved home for 4 years, and then I moved back up here in 2011, and I've been up here ever since.
Like, what made you come to Chicago?
I visited Chicago. Well, I went to college, and I wanted to like get out of St. Louis, and I had visited Chicago when I was like in middle school, and it was like the big city. Like I felt like when you see movies and they're set in the big city, like being in Chicago was the first time I felt like that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
but isn't St. Louis a big city itself?
It's got like a downtown with and it's got a big metro area. The city itself is like 300,000 people, but the metro area is pretty big. And
so it's like similar to going to a suburb, you could say, in Chicago, or like going to Cicero. What?
I don't know. I think it's bigger than Cicero, but it's like
Bloomington Normal.
I think it's bigger than I think it's bigger than Bloomington. I mean, I forget where it ranks, but it used to be pretty big. It shrank after World War II. And it like, you know, like people just moved out of the suburbs, and it's like but it's just not as big of a city as Chicago. Chicago is way more dense, taller buildings. People there's just more of like, you know, the street performers and like people, even newspaper people. They didn't have that in St. Louis, but even 10 years ago, people were still selling newspapers on the street corner in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it's a dense city, and I can just do a lot of stuff. I don't need a car. It's just a different vibe, you know. I don't know. It's just I always like density in big cities, so
have you ever been to New York City?
I've not been to New York City.
Man, if you think Chicago is big, shit. like you know how we see a lot of people in downtown Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say multiply that times probably like 10, 20.
Wow.
Yeah, like at least multiply that by 10, and that's how many people in fucking New York. Like
I imagine it's huge.
Like New York, for example, where all the like Latinos be at, like close to like the Bronx, I think, or Brooklyn. No, Queens. They got like what you call Little Mexico. It looks like Lake Street. You know how Lake Street got the train and shit.
Yeah.
So it looks just picture Lake Street, but with a booming like it kind of reminded me of Mexico, because in Mexico downtown looks similar to that, you know. where you got like stores everywhere. You know, it's like you're walking down 26th Street and Lake Street combined. That and downtown, like combined downtown, like the whole. You know, when you see a shitload of people in downtown, combined with the train, like in Lake Street, combined with 26th Street or 18th Street businesses like that. That's how Little Mexico and Queens, New York looks like.
Yeah, I would love to go to Chicago, to New York sometime. Yeah, I mean,
But just remember, if you're trying to see the Statue of Liberty, it's in the New Jersey side, not on the New York side. You could take a ferry from New York City, but if you really want to see it from close by, go to New Jersey.
All right.
I learned that the hard way when I went. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see Statue of Liberty, man. Fucking statue look like this big, fucking. But I was like, fuck it. At least I saw it in person. You know, from far away, but I saw it.
I'd love to go see where, like the Seinfeld Cafe and.
Oh, like all the spots and shit, like where most shows record their thing. Man, Times Square. You know how usually when you see Times Square, they only show one side of it.
Yeah.
And you think that's only one screen, but it's like two identical ones. So I'm like, wait, which one?
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting to see. I'd love to go see Times Square as well.
Yeah.
Or Coney Island. I'd like to go see Coney Island.
And I don't know if there's always construction right there in fucking Times Square, but like for some reason it was under construction when I went. And then I saw the Macy parade. I didn't know the Macy parade was on Thanksgiving. I just remember seeing all the big ass carts passing by with all the floats. And I was hungover, otherwise I would have woke up to see that shit in person, you know? Because I thought, you know how over here in Chicago, we celebrate Black Wednesday, right? Like, we call it the mother of all nightclubs.
Are you talking about the day before Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So
yeah, I think we do that in Missouri too.
Yeah, and over there in New York, it was not the same thing. I was like, man, like New York ain't got shit on Chicago when it comes to like nightclubs, to be honest. You know? And I was trying to get into some nightclubs in fucking New York, but for some reason, like, I don't know if they're being like on some bullshit. I was trying to get into this Asian nightclub and they're like, oh, you need a ticket. I'm like, the website didn't say nothing about a ticket. I'm like, just say you don't want me to mingle with Asians, you know? That's the way I saw it. Hold on. And the bouncers were black. So I was like, come on, man, just keep it real with me. They don't want to let me in because I'm Mexican or what, you know?
I'd go to Queens also to see where Archie Bunker's house was.
Who was Archie Bunker? I forgot.
From All in the Family, the TV show All in the Family. Like at the beginning of the show had like, a shot of the house.
Yeah.
Neighborhood, so
oh, you're talking about that? Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I'm trying to see right now, like anyways, I was gonna say
the Winslow's house in Chicago.
The what?
The Winslows.
Oh, the Winslows.
Yeah, they live at Ashland and Wrightwood.
I think I remember. But speaking of famous like houses or names, you know how you mentioned the Chicago fire when the city burned down? The mansion of the O'Learys or whatever they're called is for sale right now. Like it's actually for sale. That fucking man, that house looks fucking haunted as fuck, to be honest. Like it's creepy. It looks creepy, but it looks like so old, you know. Like let me try to. It's on Zillow. You can actually look it up on Zillow. I was looking at it yesterday because I'm trying to buy a house. I'm like, man, imagine I could just buy the house and turn it into a fucking museum or some shit. Or you know what? That would be a perfect house to do an Airbnb, to be honest. Right? Like, come on, man, y'all want to come to the house where like that's literally the mansion where the Chicago fire started. That's crazy. It's in Bridgeport, actually, or somewhere in that area. Hold on, let me look it up. What was the other thing I told you I was gonna look up? Oh yeah, the Chicago curse, right?
In West Garfield Boulevard.
Yeah.
Ooh, you can buy it for $600,000 according to this article.
Oh, you looked that up already?
Yeah.
Yeah, look it. I'm pulling it up right now so we could check it out, huh? The historic mansion. Look at that shit. Like that shit looks crazy. Imagine me living in a little ass like I don't know. Would you consider this a mansion? Technically, yeah, right?
It looks bigger than my house, so yeah.
It's known as the O'Leary Mansion.
Oh yeah, I'd look at the back of it too. I'd call that a mansion.
Yeah. Look at bam. You could buy this house for how much? And no, they didn't pay us to advertise it. 600,000. Look at that. It looks creepy as fuck, in my opinion. I'm pretty sure there's like a ghost in that motherfucker. Hell no. Look at they even got a fucking pump in the backyard. Who got a pump in the backyard?
Well, if you're related to the O'Learys, maybe you just got one on hand in case you gotta put out another fire.
I'm surprised the family doesn't buy it back. Like that would be a fucking treasure, if anything. Look at all these creepy ass symbols on the walls, though.
It looks like it's just in disrepair a little bit, like the
But look at like
wallpaper.
Whoever built this, why would they put like dragon symbols and a bunch of Freemasonry, like I don't know, like serpents and shit. I don't know. It's very look. I think that's where they had the cow that kicked the damn lantern and started the fire from here. I don't know.
Well, I think this was built after the fire. It says this was built in 1890.
Let me see.
And then it says the fire was in 1871.
Oh yeah, so it was probably like 20. So you know what? They probably built it right after the fact.
Yeah, it's probably like the descendants of.
That's crazy. So when do you think like every time I talk to people about like they tell me like, oh well right now the virus like it's like they don't want to come out anymore. Like I'm like, so the vaccine's out, like you know, like to be honest, I recommend anybody who like the vaccine is good, don't get me wrong, but it's untested. Like you don't know, there might be a better vaccine later. But for now, if that's what it takes, take the damn vaccine and let us return to normal. God damn it!
I got vaccinated when I was younger, and I think it turned out okay.
Like to be honest, vaccines are effective. You get me? The problem is that we can't really like trust governments or especially pharmaceutical companies to be making money off us like this. You know, like. They want us to get sick to sell us some shit.
Well, I don't think I think that I agree that intellectual property laws should be re-examined, and I think that patents on medicine should be definitely reformed, maybe as radically as to.
Like you know how
but anyways, we could definitely because yeah, I mean if a company wants to make out they give them an exclusive right to use that, but limit the time on it, let that go into the let it public can
like what do you think be a reasonable time, like at least a year, 10 years?
Oh, I really couldn't tell you. I don't know. But and I'm not even sure how long it is for now. But definitely should be reformed. I think that with a lot of like I think intellectual property. Yeah, I think that definitely want artists and scientists and whatnot to be fairly paid for their work. But to have like the FBI bust down your door because you're downloading the Avengers is a little much. And
let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about what your opinions on plagiarism and piracy are, because you know how in that COVID bill it includes making watching like illegal streaming movies, like you said, downloading the Avengers or like watching the Mandalorian or something.
Yeah, I mean it has nothing to do with the COVID movie, so like that doesn't need to be in if it is, I haven't actually read any of the details on any.
Oh man, I read some of it. I read some of the highlights and holy shit, like what the fuck are they on? Like,
but yeah, I mean, intellectual property, the way it is executed now is not working. Just because you can have like the FBI bust down your door, or you can trace an illegal download and then use it as evidence to get,
It's like similar to drug dealing. Why punish the user instead of the distributor or the maker? Like
right. It doesn't it all it
it's like if manufacturing cocaine is legal, but selling it is not. Unless you made it, you could sell it. But if you didn't
it
make
was like
it,
1890 to be cocaine in our in our Coke, in our Coca-Cola.
yeah, it used to be one of the main ingredients. That's why it was called Coca-Cola.
It was like they're slinging the stuff at soda stands at Walgreens, the pharmacy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And even like hemp used to be paper, toilet paper. Like there was so many uses. Like if it like I don't know. It's like a little iffy when like people could be like, well, if it's natural, it should be legal. If it's artificial, it should be regulated. I'm like, well, why is artificial stuff is still made out of natural resources? So what's the fucking point?
Well, I don't know, what do they mean by artificial?
Like for example, processing, you could say.
Oh. Well, I think you should be allowed to grow as much cannabis as you want on your own.
You should.
You don't need a license.
A lot of people don't know that the government limits how much like crops you could grow, like regardless of if it's legal or not, how many you could grow, how many you could sell per year. Because they regulate the prices, you could say.
Right. I mean, I think I definitely prefer people buying highly regulated cannabis legally than people going to prison for possession or distribution of, But now is the time for now that it's legal in Illinois. I think there's an opportunity for libertarians.
Now it's time to fight the taxation of it, right?
Yeah, we could fight the taxation. We could fight to loosen restrictions. If we're still making a distinction between recreational and medical, add more. Let people prescribe it for more things.
And you want to know why they limit the applications, like well, not the applications, but the licenses to sell like cannabis legally, and it
Regulate the market.
Yeah, like not only is because it's a regulation, but there's a reason for that, because they know if there's more competition, the prices will go down,
Mm-hmm.
And they'll make less taxes on it. Like
I've heard also black market, like with cannabis being legal, I've heard that black market prices have like gone way down compared to.
Oh yeah, so like now, for example, what you call an 18, you'll get it for like 25 or 40 bucks depending on the quality.
Wow.
Compared to back in the days where we used to spend almost like $100 bucks. Or even the ounces or the pounds, like all that shit went down.
I think now's the time to us to fight the taxes and regulations, and now to open it up to like psilocybin and mushrooms and stuff like that. I think that's the next market. And like, if Illinois can really unleash their cannabis market, and it's still, we can do that, and there's still time for Illinois to be a pioneer in psilocybin. So, I don't know why Illinois has to be so ridiculous with this. We can, we got so much land that we can grow this stuff on. More crops. We could be rich.
And like libertarians are known for being like part of the pro drug movement, you could say, or pro cannabis and stuff like that, legalizing or decriminalizing drug use, in general.
Right.
When did you get involved with the Libertarian Party, and what are the goals of the Libertarian Party? Like, you're a long-standing member, no?
I've been active in the party since 2015. I was celebrating the 4th of July. We were hanging on the street corner, and some in the party that we were with were shooting off fireworks, which is illegal in Chicago.
And it's funny, it's illegal, but we still do it.
Right. Oh man, like this year was the worst. This was the craziest year for that. But so police came, and it was 2 police, and they came up to me and a couple of my friends and were like, saw that we were drinking on the street, and they're like, you, oh, And then one of the police officers was writing us a ticket, and the other police officer opened up his trunk and he pulled out an assault rifle, and he just kind of like, and I was like, whoa. And I was at my next Libertarian Party meeting after that. And this was also around the time where I think there was like the Netflix tax was going on. So there's it was a few different things. And
yeah.
And so I went to my first LP meeting, and then a few months later, I was elected chair, and I was chair for 4 years. Now and then I kind of wanted to, 4 years is a long time. So
like, what made you not want to seek re-election for a 5th year, or pass the torch specifically to Adam Bawley?
Well, it was just 4 years is a long time, and I kind of wanted to take a breather for a little while. I'm still the communications chair, so I'm still on the board. I'm still
like, just
very
be
involved.
less involved, you could say.
Theoretically, I don't know if that's worked out in practice.
Because it seems like you're more involved, but like in
and during my time as chair of the Chicago LP, we organized the Cook County Libertarian Central Committee, which now, since we got 5%, is no longer just kind of like a organization that exists until so now this organization has this is how we have to operate by law now. So now the precinct committeeman of Chicago, which I encourage everybody who's interested in the Libertarian Party to join the Libertarian Party of Illinois and become a precinct committeeman and get involved in your local chapter. But that's I'm chair of that, so I'm still directly involved. Adam's done a terrific job. Adam was really one of the main drivers of our election, our election year this last year with organizing the petitioning and helping out Josh and Brian and Glenn and Clayton and Joe Schreiner and our other candidates. He did very well, and I'm glad somebody else wanted to do it. I don't want to, I want to encourage other people to be leaders and whatnot. So Adam's done a terrific job. I think he did a lot of things I may have not have done, which is good and fresh, and he's been taking it very seriously, and Adam's done a terrific job. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to now that we have ballot access and we can run more.
Hopefully there's more libertarian candidates like running for every office in Cook County.
Right. We'll need a sheriff candidate.
And like literally all of Chicago is Cook County, correct?
Yeah, all of Chicago is in Cook County. We'll need a county treasurer. We'll need a county sheriff. We'll need a Cook County board president. We'll need a Cook County assessor. Cook County.
Like literally everything every position they could think of, even like state reps, state senators.
Yeah, we've got
represent Chicago and Illinois.
Any district that's entirely within Cook County is got established party status, and that is such a huge deal. So like people, we got signature threshold is so much lower, and there are tons of districts in Cook County that are entirely within Cook County that probably run unopposed, and or if you can get a third party in there, you can get a good showing. So yeah, we need candidates probably the most, and we if you're interested in a candidate, we'd love to have you. There's also Water Reclamation Board. We'll need three of those. And then there's also like the districts within Cook County, like for the county board. And those are all like, we got access to those. So the sky is the limit right now for libertarians as far as like getting candidates on the ballot. So, I encourage, please join the party, get active in your chapters, and run for office if you can. I'm thinking about maybe doing a low level, like Cook County run, maybe. I'm not sure, but
so you are planning to run for office yourself?
I'm not sure. If I do it, it'll be like an office that somebody might be willing to vote for a libertarian on. For example, like a Cook County clerk or something like that. If that office was, I forget what they're
like somewhere in the Cook County board,
what they're getting rid of, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But something like that, something that, and I'd do the Brian Dennehy approach. I would only I'd engage the media and raise no money, and then just I think that, and that's an office that I don't think people are that invested in, that like they'd be no, both these guys suck. Let's vote for the libertarian. I think that something like a lower level office like that would probably be
like a office that's not actively sought, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. Yeah, I mean, I guess they get candidates to run every year for it, but it's not like there's not a lot of stakes, I suppose, or it doesn't seem like there are. So I think something like, I can, anytime if I were to engage the media, I'd give them the libertarian platform, tell them what the Libertarian Party is about. But if somebody wants to seriously run at that campaign and wants to, leverage their experience and try to raise money and that sort of thing, I would definitely encourage that as well. But if I were to run, that's the kind of style of campaign I would run. I'm too busy to run.
Yeah.
Really,
for those people that, for example, might be interested in running, tell them like what you can do for them if you decide to help their campaign.
Well, it's going to be. I mean, the chapter exists to support the candidates, so we can give you as much support as we can. We can help organize petitioners if there's interest, and all that sort of stuff. Give you guidance and whatnot. But we're such a small, it's a small party, and not a lot of the, compared to the Democrats and Republicans, the number of bodies on the ground is significantly less. So we're still at a disadvantage. But I think that if we can get more people to, the more people we can see on the ballot and more people around election time, seeing more candidates into the election will definitely give the Libertarian Party an air of legitimacy.
I feel like that 5% officially established it as we're the Libertarian Party is officially making noise in Chicago,
right?
Specifically Cook County. They really got finally the possibility to, like you said, run candidates. That's the easy part now, now the easy part is putting candidates. The hard part is the part that even the Democrats and Republicans struggle with, convincing voters to vote for them, or people of the voting age population. So what do you think Like, do you think, like, well, first of all, like, based on my knowledge and my observations, I've noticed that the Republican Party, people that usually vote for the Republican Party, are kind of like losing interest in the party because they hate the fact that the Republican Party kind of doesn't even bother to run candidates against Democrats, even though they act like they're their main enemy, you know? But they don't even bother. So do you, like, what do you think the Libertarian Party can do to convert the ones that usually vote Republican to vote for Libertarian?
Well, just find the issues that they find important and let them know what the Libertarian position on. If it's a Republican, I'm going to assume they believe in small government and lower taxes, and that's where we can meet them at, or gun rights. And if there's no Republican in a unopposed race, you probably don't even, if a Republican is in the voting booth and he sees that there's no Republican candidate, but he sees that there's a Libertarian Party, I could definitely see that, pulling the lever there.
Like convincing them to vote for somebody who's not
just by the
Democratic.
sheer fact that there's another option, I think would be not only Republicans, but other, any vote. I think
any party that doesn't like the Democratic Party anymore.
Yeah, like if you see,
and I've noted that like a lot of people don't know that you got the right not to vote for a candidate, even if they're the only ones on there. So for example, I didn't vote for my state rep or my state senator. I'm like, man, fuck them. I'm not giving them my vote.
I ran a write-in campaign. Well, a campaign. I didn't really campaign much, but I did turn in my paperwork to be a write-in against my state rep, and I wrote myself in, and the state, I'm a recognized write-in candidate, so it'd be interesting to see the write-in or the results for write-in and see if it was just anyone other than me that wrote myself in.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's ways to reach out to people who have voted for Libertarian. So I would probably suggest the party does that, Like me, technically, I'm really an official member since like December 1st, I believe, of this year, because I accidentally thought that I was officially a member of the national and the Chicago chapter when I joined the state one. But turns out there's 3 different things.
Right.
Can you tell people what's the difference between all 3? Well, actually, all 4, because you know how the Chicago chapter, the Cook County committee, the state affiliate, and the national committee. Or is there more? Can you tell us like the difference in what each one does?
I'll start from the top and work my way down. So you have the National Party. The National P is ran by a committee called the Libertarian National Committee. And membership in there, you get a card, you get I think it's $25. You get a card, you get the copy of the newsletter, and that money is used to fund the activities of the Libertarian National Committee. And then Illinois has their membership, and it's free to be a member of the Libertarian Party of Illinois. You can also donate if you're inclined to do so. And we encourage donations to the Libertarian Party of Illinois and the Libertarian Party of Chicago. And membership in the Libertarian Party of Illinois gets you access. You can vote in the state conventions. And you're in our database as a member. So when you come to, you could vote for our candidates at our conventions. All we got to do is just ensure that you are a member, and to do that, all you got to do is just pledge that you won't initiate force for political or social goals. And then we have Libertarian Party of Chicago, which is just a local chapter that's affiliated with the state party, and we just membership in the local chapter. You know, you can vote at meetings, and then that qualifies you to also be an officer. And also it's free. But we also have a sustaining membership, which is $24. And what we were doing was when we were meeting was if you paid your $24, became a sustaining member, we gave you a T-shirt. But they haven't met lately, so we haven't had a lot of T-shirts given away this year. And then we have the Cook County Central Committee, and to be a member of the Cook County Central Committee, you have to be a precinct committeeman. And to be a precinct committeeman, you have to, and it may be different now that we're established in Cook County. I'm not exactly sure, and I'm still trying to figure some of these details out. So forgive me for not being completely clear, but if you want to be a precinct committeeman, you can go to Libertarian Party of Illinois' website and you can reach out. And then there's going to be some documents that you'll have to notarize. One of them is basically the Libertarian Pledge. It's a Libertarian Pledge that you get notarized and you sign. So you have that. And then the paperwork to be a precinct committeeman, which is I think they give you a template that's from the State Board of Elections, if I'm not mistaken. You get that notarized, and then you're a precinct committeeman. And then you're to be a member. And then if you're a precinct committeeman in Cook County, then you're a member of the. Then you can be on the Central Committee. And then within the Central Committee, like I mentioned earlier, is the legal structure which the state of Illinois requires to operate by. So, and it's even different in Chicago than is the rest of the state. The rest of the state, I forget how it's done, but Chicago, and this is for when we grow, we don't, we have a couple dozen or so precinct committeemen right now. We anticipate to do more, but we're hoping, well, if you get like a few precinct committeemen in your ward, then you can form a ward committee. So then you can have a Libertarian Party of the first ward, or a Libertarian Party, what do you say there? What do you say, 25th ward?
25th ward, yeah. It's sort of like the one I'm trying to organize, you could say.
Right. So you need to get a precinct. Yeah, you want to all be precinct committeemen and stuff like that. And then if you're, and then Cook County is also different in that if you don't live in the city of Chicago, then you can, if you have a few people who live in, say, whatever township. I can't think of a township name, but if you're in Leiden Township, there's one I thought of. If you're
I think Lions is like always the one that comes out to our mind for the Lions, like anything West Cicero, Berwyn.
So you can, if you're in the suburbs in Cook County and you got several people in a township, you can form a township committee, and then these township committees are all subordinate to are all like pieced together within the greater general Cook County Central Committee. If you're looking, but there's a difference between like ward and township committees and like the chapters. So for example, the Libertarian Party of Chicago is an affiliate of the Libertarian Party of Chicago, of Illinois. It's also affiliated with the Cook County Central Committee. But you can also form other chapters. Cook County is huge. There's millions and millions of people geographically. Like the city of Chicago from top to bottom is what, like 20, 30 miles? Like it is big.
Yeah, I think it includes I think they call it Proviso or something like that.
So what we've done in the past is we've tried to get not central committees or ward or township committees, but like other chapters within Cook County started. So for example, we had a South Side chapter. It was called the South Cook County chapter.
Yeah.
It dissolved, but one of the things they were able to do is at least get some help with people in Harvey get elected. So
yeah, that's not that. Oh, that's too bright. It's too bright.
It's too bright. I can't see it, but
Look like I got a magic weapon or something.
but like if there's a because the Libertarian Party of Chicago, I don't know how long we've been around. I don't know how long that chapter has existed. Honestly, I don't know the history of our chapter that well, but or at least that deep. But most of the people are on the north side, and we meet mostly on the north side. But we would definitely people want to have a chapter on the south side. They can definitely do that, or on the west side, or anywhere in Cook County that's Cook County, or if somebody wants to have Libertarian Party of LaGrange or something like that, we definitely can do that. And what the local chapters more function as is kind of well, prior to us getting established party status, was mainly to support candidates, find and find and try to educate and stuff like that. And also there's a good social function of it. To meet other libertarians is a good thing. I always thought I was the only libertarian I know for so many years. And since joining the Libertarian Party, it's been great for me to meet other libertarians.
Why do you think, like, how there's people that obviously voted for Brian and they voted for other libertarians, but why do you think they don't join like the official Libertarian Party?
Are you talking about anybody that voted for Brian?
Like anybody in general that votes for like any libertarian candidate in general. Like, what do you think they don't become more involved with the party itself?
I think a lot of it has to do with just because most people aren't activists. It seems like most people are, nor are they the type of person that wants to run for office.
But just just in general, like participate in nominating candidates, you could say.
I think part of it is just that a lot of them just don't know that there is an active libertarian structure on the ground, or they don't know how it exists. If they are interested in it, their interest might not
enthusiastic
have
as ours, for example.
I'm sorry?
Like as enthusiastic as ours, like
right, or yeah, like they might have become a libertarian because they watched John Stossel, on Facebook or on Fox Business or whatever. But they like it, but they just never thought about, hey, I'll go see what the libertarians are doing. So I think a lot of it is unaware of it, or they're too busy. They got families, whatnot, or they got other things going on, or they're just not inclined to do.
Yeah, because to be honest, it seems like people that tend to lean progressive left are more active in like grassroots efforts, you could say. Like, yeah, so that gives people the impression that most people agree with their ideology.
I think also, this is also just based on my seeing how like left-wing groups in Chicago operate. It seems like you got really enthusiastic young people and then really enthusiastic gray-haired people, like former aging hippies or something
from the 60s, yeah.
and like no middle. So it seems like, and I'm not saying that's like the entire case.
You think it's just a recycle of the old generation?
Yeah, I think people, when they get to a certain age, they just like have a career and family, and it's just, when you're young and you're in college, you have the time to be, to be involved in those sort of organizations. A lot of time, there's a lot of on campus, a lot of groups exist on campus that are part of broader left-wing movements. So I think I think libertarians definitely organize on campuses if there's enough people to do it, for sure. I think that libertarian campus organizations would be awesome if people would do that. But
so what do you think is stopping them, though? Just the fact that there's less, or?
I think that that's a big part of it. It's gonna, and you would like, if I don't know, I've never started a campus organization, so I know at least you need to get an advisor on the faculty, right? Usually, and then you have to have a core group of people that are going to always be active on it. And then you have to have people who are enough libertarian, So I think that just our, when eventually I think libertarianism will hit a critical mass, and it'll be a more self-sustaining and there'll be more libertarians, and younger people seem to be identifying as libertarians than ever before. And they're only going to get older and more influential and go out in the world. So I think eventually we'll hit a critical mass. But I think, if we could advertise nationally and have like a join the libertarian, a flashy commercial or something with the takes you to the website, that'd be great.
Yeah, like check this out. In my ward 25, it says that there's 29,991 registered voters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But only 72% turnout. So that means that 21,741 ballots were cast. And based on
71,000 out of how many thousand?
21,000 out of 29,000, so like 72%.
Wow. That's a pretty good turnout.
Yeah, and out of all those people, so like 18,000 voted for the Democratic Party, almost 3,000 for the Republicans, 158 for the Greens, 94 for Gloria La Riva's party, 35 for Brian Carroll, and 187, including my vote, for the Libertarian Party.
Oh wow, 187 compared to how many for the Green Party?
158.
Wow.
And
so, they're there, and how many of those 180 some odd would be inclined to go to a meeting if they knew that there were meetings?
That's what I'm saying. So like minimum, I'm looking at least 187 potential libertarian members of the 25th ward,
Right.
That could probably recruit.
This is where precinct committeemen can come in and really make a difference. They can organize, the precinct committeemen can do lit drops, and they can organize, meeting at a coffee house to tell people about libertarian candidates.
Yeah, and not only that, it gets better. Check this out. So you know how Brian is the libertarian that got the most votes in Cook County, which is obviously the reason we got the 5% established party status. Out of all those people that voted, 19,000 voted for the state's attorney, right? 12,000 voted for Kim Fox, 6,000 voted for O'Brien, and 1,863 people in the 25th ward voted for Brian.
Oh wow! So that's almost 10 times as many as voted for Joe Jorgensen.
That was literally 10%, almost 10% of the vote.
And wow, dude, that's I mean, if
so that's higher than the. So I'm pretty sure we could keep that 5. Yeah, we could keep that 5% easily for state's attorney as long as they keep supporting the libertarian.
Down to Pilsen, Brian can tell people in Pilsen about why the drug war is an abomination, and why we need peaceful solutions to conflict.
Yeah, trust me. Like I told him, don't be like other candidates that just run one time and then that's it. I'm like, keep running for the same office. And I would suggest like focusing where he got more than the 5% vote.
Yeah. Hey, I've been drinking a little bit too much ginger ale. I need to.
You need a bathroom break?
Myself. Give me just a few seconds.
All right, go ahead. But yeah, everybody, whoever's listening, so the Libertarian Party has been making a lot of noise, especially in Chicago, and I think it has something to do with the Republicans not running against the Democrats, you could say, and also people not being satisfied with what the Democratic Party does. So you got people from both parties kind of looking for another home. I know a lot of people in Illinois or Chicago in particular, they prefer the Green Party over the Libertarian Party, but there really ain't that many differences between the Green and the Libertarian Party. The only difference I could think of is the priorities. Like the Libertarian Party tends to focus only on their principles and not other causes that most people care about, like universal health care, free college and stuff like that. And one of those reasons is that so look, Justin, I was telling them that like pretty much the only difference between the Green Party and the Libertarian Party is that the priorities. Like for example, the Greens focus more on like environmental friendly issues. The Libertarian Party focuses on other type of issues, right? And I'm telling them that that's the only difference between all four parties and like the priorities each party has, you could say.
There's a lot of people in the Green Party, especially locally in Chicago, that I greatly respect. I voted for the Green Party for Water Reclamation Board the past 2 elections. There are a lot of issues I think we have a lot of overreach on. I've been accused of being a communist for endorsing publicly the Green Party, but
and that's stupid, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
In my opinion, remember how I told you when I first joined, like, well, I ain't trying to collect no 25,000 signatures to represent the Libertarian Party. Like, why can't I just get the nomination? Like, not the nomination, but like the endorsement. If I run, for example, as a Republican candidate or a Democratic candidate, I feel like that's one of the things the Libertarian Party should probably do. You get me? Like we should focus our efforts on winning governor races to get the 5% established candidate status in every state, and on the small levels endorse candidates that run like seek nomination for other parties.
All right, let me start from the top and work down to the bottom. So the LP National is never gonna publicly endorse anybody that's not a libertarian.
Yeah.
And as far as the state party, I believe it's in our bylaws in the state LP party that we can't even do that. Now, Libertarian Party Chicago in the past, we have, for example, in the mayoral race, we endorsed.
Wasn't it Willie Wilson?
No, we didn't endorse. That's not the we didn't endorse. We strong. I forget the phrase we used, but it was something along the lines of strongly
supported.
That we strongly encourage you to vote for Willie Wilson for X, Y, and Z. And Willie Wilson's great. He's one of my favorite Chicagoans. I wish he could have ran as a libertarian.
Why do you think he did? Why do you think he started his own party instead of seeking support from the Libertarian Party?
I know that Willie Wilson has, since his candidacies for mayor, I know that everybody's been reaching out to him. I think everybody has, and I know Willie Wilson. I think Willie Wilson just wants to remain independent, and try not to appear like he's a partisan. He gladly accepted our support. He accepted the Republican support. So I think he liked the fact that he can kind of bring all sorts of people together.
Yeah, because I'm looking at his
is like pretty. He's got a lot of great libertarian stances on issues for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at his election results, and it says he got 4% of the vote. If he would have ran as a Libertarian Party instead of independent under the Willie Wilson Party, I feel like he would have gotten at least 5.3%. You could say. So we probably would have gotten wouldn't like if for example, if somebody runs for senator representing the Libertarian Party, right, and they get 5% of the vote, wouldn't that be the same thing as somebody running for governor and getting 5% of the vote and establishing the party throughout the whole state?
If a local candidate's got it at a local level, does it affect it at the entire state level? Is that what you're asking?
No, the senator, like the senator at the senator level.
Senator. Yes, yes. Any statewide. I think there's some ambiguity in the law, but senator for certain. Statewide would. So that would be senator would be definitely one of them.
So senators, governor, secretary of state.
Right. I
like
think
those kind of state offices.
Yeah, I think there might be. I think that there may be political division could help me out on this, but I think there might be like if governor gets 5%, it's different scenario. If like a secretary of state or treasurer or somebody else.
But it would apply to all the local offices too, right? Not just that specific office.
That's where I think the ambiguity is. I'm not sure if it's like governor that's all below offices or whatnot, but I think senator is one that does count. But I'll have to get political division would have a better answer for me at that.
Because I'm wondering. You know what? Maybe if it's a federal office, it only applies to federal, like for example, Congress, like those kind of positions on the local level that would be affected by the 5%.
You should have Jake Leonard on the show. He'd be able to have that conversation with you.
I'm gonna need to ask him. I like it will make more sense if it's like that though. You get me? Like if it's a federal level type office, the statewide, then boom, it applies to all federal level local offices too. And if it's a state one, it would apply to the counties and to all the local levels. Like I think the governor will give us all the counties and all the local governments offices established party status, and probably the senator or president would give us like all the judges, all the that would make more sense.
Ideally, I think that it would be
it would be better. Right. It would be better. It would apply to state and federal.
and this is another issue where I think Greens and Libertarians could build a bridge around, because they have the same struggles we do. They're a much smaller party than we are, so it's even harder for them. And
check this out. What the libertarian, what I keep suggesting that the Libertarian Party should do. That's kind of why I started my organization. Like my organization is not a political party because we do not receive money. We do not accept money in the first place, and we do not give people money. We endorse people, but we don't like nobody gets paid, nobody collects money, so there's no need for a treasurer.
If you just exist as like a media or it's like a
independent political organization, you could say. It's that's why I told you, like it's like more of an abstract idea. So we're a political party in theory, but not necessarily, like our platform is whatever the majority says the platform is, you could say. So for example, let me see, I'll give you an example. So it's like the coalition of coalitions. So for example, if the Libertarian Party and the Green Party got together, they could work, their members could be part of like my organization and decide which Green Party or Libertarian Party to support or endorse. You get me? As a coalition. You get me? So instead of saying the Libertarian Party endorses this guy or the Green Party endorses this guy, members of those two parties under the Revolution Party will endorse their own candidates of their own parties. You get me?
Yeah, but I mean, their respective parties are already kind of doing that for them already, aren't they?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like let's say the Green Party technically can't, like according to their bylaws, can endorse a Libertarian candidate, but under the Revolution Party, like with their membership in the Revolution Party, they would officially be able to endorse them, like indirectly, you could say.
Okay. I'd like to see how that could work. It could be an interesting scenario.
It's like similar to the Democratic Socialist of America and the United Working Families endorsing
Sure.
Democratic candidates.
All they are is they're not even I would argue that they are a political party.
Like the United Working Families.
They just run as Democrats or in nonpartisan races. Like
Yeah, like
Alderman
they tend to support more Democratic Party people that seek the nomination, you could say. Like technically the United Working Families is a political party, you know. Like they're officially a political party. But the Democratic Socialists of America are like the boots on the ground, you could say. And the United Working Families is the one that gets the money and spends the money, you know.
Right. The working family has like are they the ones that have like ward organizations like First Ward Working Families and
Yeah, I think all of them, 'cause like the Democratic Socialists of America, like they got the Chicago chapter, but it's like they're all these organizations are structured the same way as political parties, you know, where you got the Central Committee, the National Committee, and it's like one thing I mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned it to you or to somebody else, that there's like a disconnect, you know, like between all the organizations. Like even though they got the same name, like the leadership doesn't know what's going on the bottom level, and the bottom level doesn't really know what's going on at the top, and somewhere in the middle doesn't know what the hell neither one is doing.
And an organization like the DSA that's experienced such amazing growth since 2016's Bernie campaign of 2016. I imagine there's a lot of like growing pains going on within there.
Oh yeah, they get called communists by the United Working Families, by members of the United Working Families. Like there's the anti-communist sentiments.
Well, I've talked to some radical DSA members that I would argue weren't really democratic anything. So I imagine it's like I imagine it's a really, I don't know, a wild organization to belong to.
Just put it this way, it's like the USA, where you got the Democrats and the Republicans, like two opposing sides trying to like figure out what, like Congress, you know, like as similar as Congress, you could say, where they can't get their way unless they compromise, you know.
To go back to what you're saying though about local libertarian, like I think that if there was, I think that you would like have a better shot of having like the Libertarian Party endorse a local chapter Libertarian Party endorse your campaign of another party if one, you really were a libertarian and were an active, or at least had a membership in the local chapter. And there was not even a libertarian running against you. I could see a better case being made, like
yeah, we should support this guy that ran for the nomination of a Democrat or a Republican, you could say.
Like if a Republican libertarian ran against like Chuy Garcia in 2 years, who's my representative and who I called his office, and he was on board with Justin Amash's qualified immunity end qualified immunity act.
Did you hear what he said about the COVID bill? Like, oh, this is a perfect deal.
No, I normally don't pay attention to what Chewy says, but I did call his office for that.
I call him a fucking sellout.
But I mean, if you were like, I think you might have a better chance of convincing like a local Libertarian Party chapter if you were kind of deliberately infiltrating and whatever. I don't think I think the Central Committee, because it is how it operates by law,
they can't support other.
I would not think
parties,
that
right?
it would be right for them to probably do that sort of thing, since they aim solely to be how like illegal. How they're they.
I think there's even state laws that don't allow them to endorse other people from other parties. Like
I'm not sure. I downloaded.
Oh no! Wait! No, actually,
Party bylaws.
Yeah, like I take it back. I take it back. I remember what the state law says. It says that they can, like, for example, like, let's say I can't have, like, for example, libertarian / Republican / Green Party next to my name. That's the only thing it doesn't allow. It allows two different political parties to endorse you in public, but not on the ballot. You know.
Right. I think in California you can do that.
Yeah, in California it does. California allows.
You can do that. I think I might be mistaken, but maybe New York. But definitely California for sure.
I think New York just passed one recently, like a resolution like that, where they allow you to do that from now on. And I mean, I don't know why they shouldn't be allowed to do it on the ballot, because that shows not only public support but ballot support. You know, like on the ballot itself, like, oh shit, if my party's supporting this other candidate, I might as well support him too. You know,
hey,
it will make it easier for people. Yeah.
I got about 45 minutes left.
If you want to, we
want to talk philosophy or something.
Whatever you want to talk about. Like, so this is like for those people that might not know, because every time people ask me, like, so what are we gonna talk about or what's the show about? I'm like, man, I feel like I need to put a disclaimer every time I ask people if they want to be on my show. So I tell them like this: the guest speaker, aka you, comes up with the topics, and me, my job is only to ask you questions and share my opinions.
Well, let's talk philosophy, man. Like, what do you want to pick a topic? We'll
That's your job. So tell me what philosophy topic you want to talk about? Because philosophy was my favorite subject in college, just so you know.
I don't know. Non-aggression principle.
All right. As a matter of fact, did you watch the episode I did with Steve, the chair of the state party, yesterday?
I didn't finish it. No, I watched it. I watched a little bit of it though.
So check this out. We were debating about a line on the platform, right? That says that an individual, a group, or government cannot initiate force against another individual, group, or government, right? So we were like debating, and then the second line says that only individuals have inherent rights, and that groups do not have rights. So I was telling him, like, that's like an oxymoron, you know, where like a contradiction. You know, those two lines contradict. One contradicts the other, and the line itself contradicts. Like so.
And this is in the national platform.
Yeah. So, like, for example, like, what's your definition of what they mean by group in the national platform?
Let me pull up the platform and we'll take a look.
It's in the
like
first paragraph of the plank, personal liberty, in the first plank.
Okay. No individual, group, or government. So I mean, groups, like a group is more than one individual, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess groups can definitely initiate force, like more than one person working together can initiate force together. Government is basically a group of people that do that already, that are like, basically government is a incorporated group of individuals that initiate force by its very nature.
That's what I was telling him. Like, it's an oxymoron. Like, that's like saying that technically the government doesn't have any authority to do anything. You know, like, if it can't do force, then technically it can't regulate force, you could say.
Well, I'm not an anarchist, so I believe there's a role of government for some things, and I think that the non-aggression principle is a great standard of how we can gauge whether or not something, is a good, it's a good ethical, I guess, principle for sure. And we can definitely drive how things from government act based upon that. So,
and I was telling him, like one of the things that, like, proposed solutions is to eliminate the second part where it says that so for example, it would say individuals, groups, and governments cannot initiate force against an individual and remove the group or government part.
So what I think that the other thing is of course, I don't think it really contradicts because for one, I think when it says it can't initiate force against another government, I think that that means that we can't start wars of aggression. When you're starting about like groups, definitely groups can initiate force against other groups. That's basically what governments do, and that's what I guess what gang warfare is.
Yeah, like
Or
let's say, but like let's say, declaring war against somebody is it's not the same thing as literally bombing them out of nowhere. You get me?
well, yeah, the declaration is just the formal sort of motion that a body legislature makes to say yes, we're officially at war, right?
Yeah, because like that sentence is more like you cannot declare war at all. You know?
I don't think so. It just says you can't initiate force. So you can, if the Japanese attacked us on Pearl Harbor,
Like
before
keep in mind,
we retaliate, I think that's why we wanted to have a declaration of war before we can retaliate.
no, and that's what I'm saying. Like we're technically personifying the country.
Well,
Like because when
yeah,
somebody bombs
government.
somebody, we could hurt people. So now you're damaging individuals, not the country itself. So like let's say I attack a ship with one person in it. You know, the ship is property of the United States, let's say, or of the people. So you could say that, or like let's say the ship. All right, so I'm gonna give you two examples. One is a person on his own boat. You know, so that would be considered on the don't attack. You cannot initiate force against an individual, right? But the individual happens to be from America. You know, would that be considered an attack in America? Like according to the laws of today, yeah. You know.
Um. So if you, as an individual, attacked a foreign ship with, or an American ship with one person on it, is that the act of war?
Like according to our laws right now, technically yes.
Well, if you were an agent of if you were of another country's military, I think that might be.
Yeah, that's how they kind of try to define it. You know.
But if you're
Like,
like just like some schmo, like an individual citizen of the state that just wants to attack the foreign ship of a government, it's possible they can be looked at as an act of war. But if you're asking me personally, I don't.
no, but you see the silliness in it, right? Like, so what if I randomly attack some other country? Does that mean that since I represent the country, does that mean my country attacked that country?
Well, it depends on what it was. If you as an individual take out a foreign government's military vessel, I would say that if the government of your if you're the government that you live under doesn't prosecute you for the crime of attacking, or at least rendering you unto the foreign government that you just attacked. If the authorities don't come,
Like,
the
don't
other
turn
country
me
might,
in a way. Like,
if the other country sees that doesn't see them trying to apprehend you to bring them over to you, they can see that as maybe an act of war, kind of like the Taliban after 9/11, like give us bin Laden or
yeah.
go in.
Or like let's say, you know how you mentioned Pearl Harbor. Like, let's say Pearl Harbor was not a military outpost, right? And Japan just randomly attacked it.
Yeah, I would still think it's an act of war, even if it wasn't another military. I think another
But why?
military, because the aggressor is the military of the foreign country. So if a government, if let's say if the United Kingdom wants to attack the United States and it does so by assault, like an air assault on New York City, just because there's no military base on New York City doesn't mean that's not like an act of war.
But you see where I'm going with this, right? Like, so is it because they use military equipment,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
because it was a military person doing the attack, or both? Like, I know technically the
Both.
answer
I
is
mean, I'm
both,
sure an
but
attack in this hypothetical situation would be under the direct orders of the government that employs them.
now check this out. What if you're an American soldier and you use a tank to like fucking attack like a US post? Like, is that like the country declaring war on itself?
Well, I'm sure the military would look at that as like somebody's gone AWOL and they would probably, he's probably under like some military code of justice that would probably have him hang for treason or something. I imagine is
But
what
you
that.
see how like once you start applying like logic to it, it's like
Well, I don't think it's illogical. I mean, I think I'm explaining pretty well why they would be considered acts of war, not.
No, yeah, I get your definition of it. I'm just saying like the
I don't
the
see
whole
how this
silliness
person.
of other countries attacking other countries. Like the rules are like they make sense obviously, but like what really gives them the authority to make that distinction, you could say.
Who gives who the right to make what distinction again?
Of like, for
Who's
example,
in war? Or...
what constitutes and like what you call it, an act of war.
Well, I'm sure there's treaties and legal definitions that already exist.
Or like just the authority to attack another person, you could say.
Well, if we're going to use the non-aggressive, like if we're being totally ideal, if a group of individuals like
let's say Antifa and Proud Boys as examples, they're taking matters into their own hands in a way.
What are they doing specifically?
According to some videos, I don't know if they're official Proud Boy members, but I think they are, because they were in the same rally as the leader of Terrio, whatever his name is. And like they were starting some shit, I think in San Francisco, I believe.
Well, starting shit, I would think would have violent if starting shit means like Proud Boys ripping off the banner of a church that's not their property and setting on a fire. Yeah, that's a group initiating force.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, obviously, if the FBI finds out that the higher orders of the organization gave that order, they're gonna get hit with a RICO Act for sure. But if they find out it was more of a renegade type thing,
right,
like, they don't get in trouble. But the fact, like I know you don't like them, right? You don't like the Proud Boys.
I don't like Proud Boys or Antifa.
So, like, for example, Proud Boys, according to them, their main enemy is Antifa or anybody who's labeled a terrorist.
That's what they say their enemy is?
Yeah, like, hold on, let me show you this video on YouTube.
They also say that they're Western chauvinists, which is
yeah.
like
which is like misogynistic and sexist.
White power.
Yeah. So check this out. Hold on. It's actually black Proud Boys, so I don't really think it's like a white supremacy type thing.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is.
So you think they're just what people call Oreos?
Huh?
You never heard the term Oreo?
I'm sorry, what was the word again?
Oreos.
I've heard of that term before, but
like they're colored from the outside but white inside.
Well, did you see photos of like the guy with like the t-shirt with the fast says and it said 6 million word enough? Their founder Gavin McInnes is like explicitly sexist and explicitly Islamophobic.
Why do you think he actually, like, we know well, first of all, tell him what's the reason he says, like, if you know, what's the reason he backed down from the leadership, and what's your opinion on why he really got out, apparently?
I think that he's inciting people. He was inciting people to act violent. It bit him on the ass. Of course, he's going to step down and renounce it. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He had Proud Boys in Charlottesville. That's an explicitly white power. That was an explicit white power rally.
So
Why are
check
you
this out.
hanging out at a white power rally?
So check this out. This video came out December 17. All right, Justin. Look.
I am called to your purpose, Lord. Reveal your purpose to the Proud Boys. Use us to lift up this city, to save the people of this city. Don't let it die. Amen. Amen! Show some motivation!
If you make me look like a jack, I'm gonna come for you.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna probably beat the you. Never me.
Is that a White Claw?
That is a White Claw. White Claw! White Claw! Mango White Claw!
It's like they represent they're pro-aggression, you could say, right?
They're what?
Pro-aggression.
Of course. It's of course they are. Just that they have a black guy in their.
Look at so they
A lot of people assume that I'm here to protest Antifa and BLM, and that's probably the furthest thing from the truth.
It's about the Western world, Western nationalists. Like, we love America.
We believe in God and America and the Constitution. I love my country.
They started out with the right intent. I don't think they started protesting for no reason. Yeah, I mean, watching the knee on George Floyd's neck, I mean, that's like, that was f***ed up.
Did you support the initial Black Lives Matter protests?
I mean,
the way it says.
I don't know. Actually, I want to cut this interview.
We wanted to just get police and law enforcement the tools that they need to combat these riots.
The Proud Boys communicate with the police?
We do communicate back and forth.
We just want to keep our side of the street clean.
I understand sometimes when the left are like, oh, well, they're violent. It's because we make self-defense look like assault.
A warrior doesn't always need to use a sword. Sometimes you need a pen. Our pen is our iPhone and our memes.
I got kicked in the head, and my phone got thrown away, and got kicked out of the rally.
And you're a 22-year-old student journalist.
Yeah.
You bitch! They scream at me and they say, you're not real press. So I said, hey, I'm with the NPPA IWW. They heard Industrial Workers of the World and screamed socialism. And they start yelling, Antifa press, Antifa press. I'm press.
Your press. You guys are downtown throwing Molotov cocktails, and I'm the press.
And then all of a sudden this hand comes down and throws me to the ground.
They kept calling me Antifa press, and I was like, I'm just a journalist. And then they're like, well, if you're not an Antifa journalist, you're still Arab.
What you think about that video, Justin?
What was that last bit that it said? Callahan does what?
The what?
It was talking about the journalist and his Patreon, and then it said. But anyways.
Oh, so it's some dude named Andrew Callahan from All Gas No Breaks. He attends like bizarre and outlandish events.
The fact that they started that video of them praying and invoking a God that I'm going to go to mass and celebrate myself. The fact that they're going to pray to this God and then be violent and aggressive, I think is very upsetting. And as a person who's going to go to church later, I think that that's highly offensive, and I'm willing to pray that we can overcome this sort of like nonsense that the Proud Boys are.
Like people are literally labeling them the ISIS of America.
Well, if they're going around harassing journalists.
And then the funny part is,
chop their heads off like ISIS would do. Is it really that much of a stretch?
And then the funny
They're
part
gonna beat
is,
her up because she's a socialist or she's not white. Like that's totally explicitly racist.
not only that, and the crazy part is that Antifa, some people consider them the ISIS of America. It's like you got two different organizations, but they one leaves extreme left, one leans extreme right. So it's like if ISIS split into two, you know, but they don't take it up to that notch where they're cutting people's heads off and shit like that.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if some people in Antifa and some people in the Proud Boys thought that chopping people's heads off was a proper punishment for something.
I think they limit their shit to just probably looting, blowing shit up.
I have a almost Burkean outlook on things, especially revolutions, mainly informed by my understanding of the Who song "We Don't Get Fooled Again." Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. I think that's a good libertarian slogan.
Yeah, in my opinion, they're both militias. In my point of view, the only problem is that they're like anarchistic in nature, not
I don't think the Proud Boys are anarchistic, and I don't know what I've never. I don't know. Is Antifa? Are they anarchists? Are they like?
Apparently, well, based on what they're accused of doing, you would say they're anarchists. Because like the only difference is they don't really paint. You know, the anarchists paint the anarchy sign.
Describe themselves as they're initiating violence, and it's stupid, and they both suck for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
like
people should be. Yeah, I mean that's an example of groups of people that initiate violence.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I feel like you know how I like to call the Democrats and Republicans, well, the parties in general, not the supporters. If you support the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, you're just a voter to me. But like the people that are actually like in the DNC, RNC, and the ones that actually controlling those organizations, you could say, you know, which some people in conspiracy theory circles claim it's the Rockefellers and stuff like that. Or like the Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett's and Murdoch's, you know,
George Soros.
Like you could say that's their boots on the ground that do fighting, you know, for the same duopoly that exists in politics.
Well, maybe I don't. I mean, definitely, I think that
it's like they took some notes from the Middle East or West Asia. People from the Arabs don't like getting called Middle Eastern, just so you know.
Yeah.
I label them West Asians based on the geography, but they don't like that either.
They don't like West Asian, is that what you said?
No, they don't like to be called by they prefer their nationality or just their religion label. I'm like, I don't like using labels in general.
Oh well. You gotta use
I'm like, if I hear your name, I'll be like, well, shit. It's like similar to people that talk shit about the proper pronoun, you know, like I'm a she, not a he, all right? I'm like, you look like a fucking guy to me, damn.
Well. I think that if you're friends with somebody who's transgendered and you cared about them, you'd probably use their pronouns. If you want to be like I don't think being a jerk is gonna do much, but also some people like, you know, sometimes you know people before and after they transition and you slip up and say something, you know, it's not always intended to be a diss or make you mad, but yeah. Like, but a Proud Boy would probably kick that person, probably get out of here, trans person, and want to kick their ass.
Justin, I met the like I said, I don't like using labels, but let's say this. So he was born a guy, but let his hair grow like a woman, but says he prefers to be called a he, even though he identifies as a she. but then dates or only has sex with like I forgot if with guys or girls, or like they identify as something else, not specifically guys or girls. Like it's like a very twisted thing. You get me? Like I'm not judging them. I'm just saying like
have
it's very
unorthodox.
like it's so confusing. Like I'm like wait. So like let me try to explain it again. So he was born what you call a male, right?
Right.
But lets his hair grow out like a what you call a woman, but says that the pronoun he prefers is a he, even though he identifies as a she.
Well, I had long hair up until recently.
And check this out.
Does that make me a woman?
And the crazier part is that he, even though he identifies as a she, you know, as a woman, I mean, you know, says that he only dates people that identify as something else, even though like pretty much people like him.
So she's a woman who prefers he.
Yeah. But that identifies as a he's like a man that identifies as a woman but prefers the pronoun he.
Right. Well,
and
if that's
dates
what they're
and
into,
only dates
that's what they're
only dates people that identify as something else, even though they look like something else, but in reality they were born as something else. Like I don't even know what the fuck you call that, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's just called gender fluid, I guess.
Yes.
I guess too crazy in my opinion. I feel like there's something wrong.
Whatever it is, we should just take off what you're. Let me pull. Do I have my driver's license right? Whatever it is, let's just take sex off the driver's license.
It's to be honest,
that might settle a lot of
uncertainties.
Settle a lot of things.
Uncertainties.
Yeah. Just don't even put it on there.
I tell him, man, whatever tickles your pickle, to be honest, because I'm like, I can't keep up with all that shit. I'm like, in my opinion, Justin, there is 3 genders technically, you know.
Yeah, people are born intersex.
Yeah, sure. So like me, people who either are intersex or did some kind of transition from like penis to vagina or vagina to penis, those are what I call the 3rd gender. You know, like I base my genders on their genitalia, you could say.
Right, and a lot of people born transgender as their children or young or as their babies like get operations. They have no choice in that sort of thing. So, I'm sure that growing up in that sort of situation is. I mean, I don't know what it would be like, but I'm sure that I think that's I think that with the trans issue going on right now, like it's raising awareness for these sort of things.
Like we definitely need to have that conversation where like, all right, well, because there is like scientific evidence that proves that people are different genetically as far as like what we consider just male and female. There's actually variations of the XY chromosome, you could say.
Yeah.
So there is like genetically there is different sexes, you could say, right?
For sure.
But like we're saying, genitalia.
I'm a man. I identify as a man. I have traditional male bits.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, like I got traditional. So it's like I'm telling you, like but it's like not all intersex people are born with the same type of whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right, it's different. It is different. It's different from person to person for sure.
Yeah. So not only are
they have several different classifications.
That's what I'm saying. So like not only are they different physically, but genetically. So there is different things. So I do feel like we need to have that conversation where we make the distinction of what we consider a gender and what we consider a sex.
That's why I think let's get it taken off the driver's license.
Yeah. Like instead of calling it male, female, just label it a number or some shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can definitely rethink ways of classifying this sort of stuff legally or not classifying it legally at all, for sure.
Yeah. The only thing is like, what's the difference? Like, what benefit does it give society to even classify things in general? Like, I understand there's social constructs, right? But what for example, every time we do the census, right? Like, what do we get out of knowing how many white people, black people, Asian people, Pacific Islander, Native Alaskan,
I
like,
think that they have to. I think aren't there laws that say you have to map congressional districts with respect to
but that's what I'm
racism?
saying. Like, why do we do that? Like, what do we benefit out of doing that?
I, I would prefer. I mean, I'm sure that like the data is useful, but it does like further. It is like legal divisions almost. You're creating
Like,
legal distinctions of people.
in other episodes, I make reference to what I call the American case system. Like, that would make more sense. Like, how many citizens, how many permanent residents, you could say, and how many visa holders, how many undocumented. Like, those four will make more sense than white, black, Hispanic.
Right. Um. Yeah. I mean.
Because in a way, if you're counting the voting age population only, then technically most states don't have to have that many electoral votes.
I think what we should do is make it to where we don't put a cap on the number of people we have in Congress.
So,
And
like, return to the old ways where it's minimum, or I think maximum 30,000 per representative.
Yeah, I think we need. I think we need. I don't think we need a cap on the number of representatives that are on Congress. I think that it has to be proportional to as proportionate as it can be, and the best way to do that is to release the cap. I think that would lead to, as a libertarian, it's interesting because it'd be like, oh, you're growing the size of like the federal government literally by adding more representatives.
Hey, nowadays we could do meetings like this through Zoom. You don't even need to meet in one little ass room with all these representatives anymore.
That's true. And also, like, you're just better represented. If you're gonna have like, you just have you're better representative of the,
yeah,
the people you're better constituent.
Want to know what's one of my alternative proposals to that that's similar to what you're saying?
What's that?
Like, all right, so their concern is that the number is gonna grow so high, right? So why not do it like this? So, for example, on a national level, like, instead of dividing people into districts, just like literally make the whole fucking country, like, you know how we choose senators, where it's like almost the whole state's choosing one senator.
Right.
So it'll be
states get 2 senators each.
Yeah, like it'll be so disproportional, but at least everybody's represented by whoever they chose, and if they didn't choose anybody, they could represent themselves. So, for example, it's similar to the presidential race where it's a whole national thing, right? So, like, let's say we got 100 seats only, right? Or like you said, we don't put a limit on the seats. So everybody and every voter in the country,
I'm
like,
just
you
saying
can have
how big in the House of Representatives. Obviously, I still think that the 2 seat per Senate thing is a good way to balance out the to give power to states with small.
No, but like check this out. It wouldn't even matter what state you're in. As long as you're part of the country, that's all that matters. So, and as long as you're not a duplicate voter. So, for example, don't vote twice.
I think that I don't like to look at the United States as one country. I try to look at the United States as a federation of sovereign localities. Let's call them states or whatever.
I know, but like,
that's how I try to frame it as. I think that the localism, the 9th and 10th Amendments are very important in maintaining local control. And I think that if we reframe America to be a confederation of sovereign states, then I think that then they're just, instead of paying so much income tax to DC, maybe this, and I don't know, maybe if you just flip it and then you can let.
Yeah, but no, check this out. So, like I said, it would be like similar to the presidential election, right? The only difference is it's not limited to just one candidate per party. So it would be like a presidential election of combining all the primaries of every political party. So like that's how we would choose only our House of Representatives, though, not our Senates. You get me? Just the House of Representatives.
So I think they do something similar like that in California, where like they basically have one giant primary and then the top two candidates go on to the runoff, and usually or to the general election rather, and that's how you get the vote between two Democrats in the general election in California. So
Yes, but not like that either. It'll be like what you said about the whole primaries, like jamming all the primaries into one. But instead of just choosing like the top two or runners or anything like that, like none of that will be necessary. So like, for example, let's say 20 Democrats ran against 20 Republicans, like 10 libertarians, 10 Greens, whatever. Like regardless of political party, the point is as many candidates that participated, like let's say the total of candidates was damn near 300, let's say, right? So out of all the millions of people that voted, each candidate of those 300 represents different amounts of people. So every time they make a vote, their vote is worth that many people. You get me? But for everybody else that didn't vote for none of those candidates, like they're technically represent themselves in Congress. So like, let's say me and you didn't vote for any of those candidates, right? Because we want to represent ourselves instead of letting them represent us. So people like us, if we want to vote, we vote. If we don't want to vote, we don't vote. You get me? So
actually, I don't get you. I'm having a hard time following this.
So like I'm telling you, like I'll keep it even shorter. Let's say only 10 candidates run for the Congress, a seat in the House of Representatives, right? Only 10 of them. Out of those 10, you know how usually it's like almost 120 million people vote nationally, like on the national popular vote.
Right.
So out of those 10 candidates, let's say each one represents 12 million out of the 120 million that voted, right? But there's still like 30 million people that didn't technically vote, you know?
So you're taking what the presidential election was and applying it to
choosing the
your representatives in Congress.
Amount of people or representatives, yeah. So it's similar to what you're saying about unlimited seats, but it's also allowing unlimited representation based on who voted for you. You get me? And if you didn't vote for nobody to represent you, you technically got the right to represent yourself in Congress. So like, instead of you calling Chuy Garcia, hey, vote no on this, if you didn't vote for Garcia to represent you or anybody else in general, you would technically attend that Congress meeting and say, I vote no, you know?
So there would be like theoretically like
sort of like a direct democracy in House of Representatives, and sort of like a direct democracy mixed with representation.
I would be against that because it's giving too much power to the House of Representatives. I would much rather have people, if people are going to have democracy, I'd much rather have them at a local level. And I'd much rather have I'd much rather have the government.
But what's the difference?
The federal government be basically how it's,
like what's the difference though?
Well, because the Congress now does many unconstitutional things. I don't think putting more people, just because you put more people in Congress doesn't mean you're going to stop it from being less unconstitutional. But that doesn't mean that you see now you got like 1 million people in Congress, so now you have 1 million people like voting on like a tax bill. So now millions of people now need time to read. Like I would just much rather than have their direct. I'd much rather I would prefer we look at the federal government as just kind of like what mediates the Constitution. So Constitution, I like to look at it as like an international treaty between sovereign states, free trade sort of agreement. We have also a common military and navy.
But that just, in my opinion, that's the definition of big government when you got too many divisions.
Well, I think, but if you just kind of if your federation of sovereign states is only limited to like a common defense and like to make trade easier between the states and
oh, you know what? That's what I want to talk to you about.
Well, I only got a few minutes left.
The movement to make Chicago its own state. Why do you support it? And why
because
you think?
I think that there's Chicago, Cook County in particular has way too much influence on the rest of Illinois. There's 40% I think of the state population lives here, and there's 100 and plus counties, and we're just one of them. And the amount of influence we have is just obscene. So I think it just makes sense.
Where will you define the political division of what should become the state of Chicago?
Ultimately, I think that it should be I think that's more. I think like a more. I mean, I think Cook County is a good place to start. That way, if you don't want to live in Chicago, you can at least like move to Schaumburg or something. You got several.
Still can't see the damn map. So look at this.
Oh,
Cook
that's
County.
a little better. Yeah.
So like that would be the state of Chicago right here, right?
Yeah, or Chicagoland or whatever you want to call it. I'm open to naming it something that's not Chicago.
Like not Chicago and not Cook.
I'm also completely fine with like what the organization New Illinois' plan is just to to just kind of have a separation between Cook County or the city of Chicago, have the rest of the state and just call it New Illinois, and then the old Illinois doesn't have to do anything. They're just still Illinois.
It's like about 32 or 33 cities or towns, you could say. Yeah, towns. Like right. Chicago was technically a township before, right?
I think that there were townships. I think as Chicago grew, it absorbed a lot of
other towns, right? Like that's where the community names come from.
Yeah, I think Lakeview was like a town, like a separate entity that was absorbed.
Like it was Lakeview, Illinois, Brighton Park, Illinois, Pilsen,
I think a lot of places
Illinois.
on the south side too. Yeah.
And then they organized together into a city, and instead of calling themselves towns, they just divided themselves into wards, and the wards divided themselves into communities.
Yeah,
it's a whole fucking mess.
It's a much more nebulous term than ward or township or something. Like anything can really be a community. Like when I go to church later, that's a community.
Look, since you support, since you kind of support like direct democracy on a local level, you could say, like, what do you think about like, I don't know if you saw my Pilsen episode where I mentioned the podcast. It's in English and Spanish. Like, so for example, there's this beercade, right, that they want to open in Pilsen.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that the neighbors don't want it, because there's too many bars and too many drunk people leaving the bar, causing trouble after, So they kind of want to, like, not allow, but keep in mind, it's a corporation that owns it. But like Steve said yesterday, corporations are technically a group of individuals. So they have the same rights as individuals in a way to open a business, right?
I think that I would support.
Would you be in favor of the beercade or on the community?
I would not, just because the community, just because I support democracy at a more local or more direct democracy at a local level as possible, doesn't mean I think that you can use democracy to override the rights of other people. So if you're wanting to like have a bar and I don't want it there, I think it'd be wrong for me and other neighbors to vote and say, no, you can't do it. So I would respect the right of anybody to do what they want on the property.
Because my argument is the free market argument. I tell them, well, just because there's more bars, eventually that means that one bar will become the dominant and the other ones will shut down. So now you'll have less bars, not more bars.
Well, that's possible, or just like the other, it just contributes to making whatever
growing demand, right?
You say it's in Pilsen?
Yeah, so it's like the growing demand. Maybe this less
growing demand. If they think that they can open up a bar there and be successful, let them do it, and that'll employ more people. The ward gets, the city of Chicago gets tax revenue from the business. I don't see why, and by the way, I got to leave here. But I don't see how you can, in a time where restaurants are restricted and shutting down, you're gonna further
oppose something like that.
Yeah, it's
all right. Last question, because I know you gotta go.
Right,
Do you think taxes should be collected on a local level? Like, for example, Pilsen collect its own taxes to invest in its own neighborhood instead of the city, depending on the city, to give them some money that they collect from their neighborhood?
That's a interesting question, because how much?
So in other words, the richer the neighborhood,
Chicago works now versus you have how Chicago works now, and how, like, I guess maybe ideally, like, as we're talking, I mean, voters all the time vote for tax increases. Like, if people want to impose a tax district on themselves, I guess that's okay. I don't have to live in Pilsen. I would probably be opposed to any tax raises, but you do have to strike a balance between local and whatever. You could maybe say you could say, well, just because you can't, like I said, I wouldn't vote to raise somebody's taxes, just as I wouldn't vote to say no on opening up a restaurant. So, but I also obviously I live in real life.
Yeah.
We live in the Chicago that we live in, unfortunately. So, but
I know you gotta go, Justin. I don't want to hold you. So you want to say anything else before you go?
I want to say thank you for having me. It's been an interesting conversation. I just want to further quickly on the localism thing. I think localism is the way to go. We do have to strike a balance between, like, democracy and protecting individual rights, and how much power we want to give that sort of stuff as well. Just because something is local and it does something doesn't mean it's always good. But yes, thank you for having me on. Merry Christmas. If you want to join the Libertarian Party of Illinois, please do so at lpillinois.org/join. If you want to be a precinct committeeman, check out lpillinois.org. Scroll around, you'll find precinct committee information. You can reach out to Libertarian Party Chicago on Facebook, on Meetup. You can email us, chicagolibertarians@gmail.com. Please help us grow the Libertarian Party. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Justin, for participating, and
yeah,
happy holidays, everybody.
You as well. Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
All right.